This year, 2 books and a film series have earned ISHA honorable mentions. My Life in Winters, The Extraordinary Tale of One Man's Journey Through the Rise of the Ski Industry by Mike Ewing. Copper Mountain Resort, 50 Years of Fortitude by Tim Nicholas. Michaela Schifrin, Passion and Purpose. Outside TV series, JPI, Jalbert Productions International. Ski Jumping in the Northeast, Small Towns and Big Dreams by Ariel Picton Kobayashi. Broken into 2 sections, the first relates how the Norwegian immigrants brought ski jumping to the American Northeast. By 1872, Berlin, New Hampshire had the East's earliest ski club, which staged winter carnivals and competitions. This Nansen Ski Club built the East's largest ski jump, the Nansen as it was known, where national competitions drew international stars and thousands of spectators. Lake Placid featured 2 jumps, built for the 1932 Winter Olympics. The book shows the rise of alpine skiing and decline of ski jumping, culminating in 1981 when colleges dropped ski jumping from their ski competitions. The second part deals with ski jumping today. It shows how the discipline continues around the last big jumps in the East: Salisbury, Connecticut, Brattleboro, Vermont, and Lake Placid, New York, where supporters not only face funding challenges, but must overcome the irregularities of warmer winters. The book closes with the hope for the sport, as old centers like Berlin, New Hampshire fight to bring back legendary big hills like the Nansen, where skiers may soon fly again. Ariel Picton Kobayashi. Traveling the Old Ski Tracks of New England by E. John B. Allen. Traveling from the 19th century well into the 20th, this book portrays the development of ski sport in the Northeast. Along the way, we meet all the principal characters, from Norwegian jumpers to Austrian and Swiss instructors. Here's the invention of ski tows, the birth of ski towns, and description of things like ski movies from the Alps, Dartmouth and Middlebury ski carnivals that fueled the evolution of skiing. Pioneers like Charlie Proctor, Hannes Schneider, and Charlie Lord, along with their fascinating stories, traces the birth of skiing centers like Mount Greylock in Massachusetts, Cannon Mountain, and Mount Washington in New Hampshire, or Stowe's Mount Mansfield, Woodstock, and Bromley in Vermont. The story moves through time and place, effectively painting a complete picture of skiing as it evolved from the Nordic tradition of jumping and cross-country to a sport pursued by thousands on ski lifts at alpine resorts. E. John B. Allen. Provenance in the Snowfields by Donald Johnson. Here's the story of the Dolmisen Ski Club and the development of alpine skiing in Australia. In the 1960s, skiing took off in Australia. The club Dolmisen was born in this boom. For 60 years, Dolmisen has served generations of skiers. Despite multiple additions to the club's Perisher Valley Lodge, it strained to handle the club's 120 members. The Snowy River Council okayed the club's permit to build a second lodge in the valley. In 1988, rail service to the valley increased crowds, while at the same time, the Thredbo area upgraded lifts and increased vertical access. So the club opened a Thredbo Lodge, offering its now 380 members lodges in both of Australia's premier ski resorts. Today, Perisher is Epic, a Vale resort, while going to Thredbo, you go Icon. Raging fires threatened the Perisher Valley and Thredbo areas, forcing the closure of the lodges in 2019. Then COVID struck, but despite the fires and COVID, the club echoes the optimistic sentiment that this is just the start of a journey, not the end. Donald Johnson. Winter's Children, a celebration of Nordic skiing by Ryan Rogers. With remarkable research, this book captures a rich Midwestern Nordic tradition, tracing its roots steeped in Old World lore and resplendent in visuals collected to support the story. Many of the best Scandinavian skiers immigrated, bringing their love for skiing, allowing a parallel development in Nordic skiing in America. For years, the world's ski jumping distance records were set on jumps in the United States. It traces the decline of ski jumping amid the rise of alpine skiing and goes on to show cross-country skiing's resurgence in the mid-1960s, the success of the American Birkebeiner and other long-distance races. Covering a century and a half of Nordic skiing, this book is packed with fascinating characters and their rich, colorful stories. It closes celebrating a thriving ski scene across the Midwest today, where in Minnesota alone, 96 schools currently feature ski teams, with as many girls ski jumping as boys. And the only cloud on the horizon is global warming. Ryan Rogers. Rise by Lindsey Vonn. The book offers Lindsey Vonn's rise from a determined 7-year-old just starting out to qualifying for the U.S. team at 14. Then, over the next 22 years, dominating the sport and breaking the record books through 434 starts, 148 podiums in World Cup events, championships, and the Olympics. The book doesn't cover her career chronologically, race by race. Rather, this self-aware woman reflects on key racing moments from decades spent on the road that defined turning points in her life. It shares the importance of her family and her support crew from technicians to trainers. She shares her internal struggles battling depression, those agonizing moments awaiting the impact of crashes, then striving to come back from 8 major surgeries. Yet her confidence, courage, and unshakable belief in her skiing come through as the engine that kept her at the top of ski racing for 14 years. Time and again, Vonn defied injuries to ski on the edge of the possible. All sorts of things might boil around her off the hill, but as she writes, "Whenever I was in the starting gate, I had total faith in myself." Lindsey Vonn. Powder Days, Ski Bums, Ski Towns, and the Future of Chasing Snow. Heather Hansman. Before COVID, and a decade away from her life as a ski bum, the author takes us on a road trip, and what a trip it is, returning to Arapahoe, Vail, Beaver Creek, Aspen, Alta, Snowbird, Squaw Valley, Deer Valley, Sun Valley, Jackson Hole, Big Sky, and Bridger Bowl. Visiting old haunts and friends to re-experience the ecstasy of endless powder days. But that's just the surface of a book that shows that chasing the dream of forever a ski bum runs into aging and unforgiving towns where leisure is elusive and comparisons are hard. Lifties, bartenders, guides and carpenters, patrollers and ski instructors keep the ski towns running but barely make a living. And it's difficult to live forever in that bubble. Well organized and indexed, the story is rich with insights into the heritage of skiing's epicenters. Following the tracks of her past, the author searches for answers to the sustainability of skiing as we know it, while still treasuring how dancing downhill with gravity offers such a compelling connection to nature. Heather Hansman. Overcoming Borders on Skis by Thomas Bousset and Pata Arnold. Here is a collection of 12 papers presented in 2020 in Switzerland under the auspices of the International Center for the Study of Sport. There are 5 papers in French, 6 in German, and then 2 in English. Annette Hoffman's analyzation of what constitutes the frontiers of ski culture, and Susan Barton's Winter Sports as Business History, on the mix of tourism and sport that made Swiss skiing so important in the development of alpine skiing. All the papers are about various aspects of skiing that concerns Switzerland and its frontiers. These frontiers are both geographical, such as Steve Hagemont's skiing between France and Spain, and social, such as Constant Pomp's paper on women skiing in the Black Forest, 1890 through 1930. The group enjoyed a trip together, visiting Swiss ski collections. This collection of papers provides an exceptional look at some very unusual aspects of ski history. Thomas Bousset and Pata Angel. Heroes in Good Company, L Company, 86th Regiment, 10th Mountain Division, 1943 through 1945, by Schuyler Bailey. It was General Hayes, the division commander, who said, "If you're going to risk your life, you might as well do it in good company." This is the saga of L Company in World War II, from its formation in 1943 at Camp Hale, through its deployment in Italy, its return from the war, and demobilization. One of the last companies formed to round out the 86th Regiment of the division, the company joined an exclusive, well-trained unit in Colorado, where training was pioneering American winter warfare. The book weaves the story from primary sources, the unit's morning reports, soldiers' letters, and personal journals and interviews. This is a story that is crafted from these personal accounts, offering a day-by-day chronologic depiction of the combat the unit faced, including holding the right flank of the assault on Mount Belvedere, where in a short time over 30% of the company were killed or wounded. The book details January through April of 1945, well indexed, with each account meticulously footnoted. This is a thorough portrayal of the 86th action in the war. Schuyler Bailey. Austrian ski sport in the time of National Socialism. Adaptation, Persecution, Collaboration, by Andreas Pahar. This is a detailed analysis of the influence of Nazi political thought as it clawed its way into ski sport. The book covers the role of Austrians over 25 years, the collaborators, the persecuted, those who fled, and those who resisted. The book calls out the perpetrators who embraced and served the Nazi Party. It begins with a history of pre-Nazi Austrian skiing, the apolitical myth, followed by an overview of skiing between the world wars, when skiing became part of Austro-fascist nationalism, and then Austrian skiing from the Anschluss to the end of World War II, including the persecution of Hannes Schneider, skiers serving in the German army, and then specific examples from the SS, the Gestapo, Hitler Youth, and mountain troop commanders. The final chapter traces those who fled Austria after the war to escape accountability for their crimes. Many finagled their way to Argentina. Written in German, this detailed history is an important look into a corner of ski history that has received little attention. Andreas Pahar. Trail to Gold, The Journey of 53 Women Skiers, by those women, their book committee, and project leader, Sue Weems. Here's the extraordinary story of American women's cross-country ski racing. Part 1 combines the personal stories along a variety of themes to collectively weave a tapestry covering the challenges of competing internationally. The second part of the book offers individual profiles written by each of the 53 racers who participated in this history. The book is lavishly illustrated with colorful photography gathered from the racers and their press coverage. It captures qualifying for the chances to compete on the world's largest stage, an opportunity that came with dreams, personal struggles, and team politics, a revolving door of coaches, and years of mixed results. It took 46 years, but in 2018, the team brought home a gold medal, and no one celebrated harder than the women who led the way, beginning in 1972. That gold medal was followed at the 2022 Games with another gold. This book celebrates humans working together, and the future Olympians who will be added to its pages. Sue Weems and the Book Committee.
We had a miracle created here just to put on this event and the amount of time they had. You need some visionaries. You needed some people who are willing to risk everything. They didn't think small, they thought big. They went for the greatest Olympics ever. Those people were not afraid to fail.
Walt's legacy can definitely be felt every 4 years.
Opening ceremonies and the parading of people, all of those things that we see in every Olympics today, that was started in Squaw Valley by Walt Disney. That was the way that he laid it out, and it's been mimicked in every Olympics ever since.
When you look at what those Squaw Valley Olympics were, it was almost like an experiment in a theme park. It changed the paradigm of what the Olympics could be.
Walt always said, I don't care what they say when they come in. I'm concerned about what they say when they go out.
That was always Walt. Walt was always dreaming past his lifetime.
In the name of all competitors, I swear that we will take part in these Olympic Games for the glory of sport and honor of our country.
You're going to hear lots about peekaboo. An amazing American with an unusual name turns Olympic skiing upside down.
The European coaches were just snickering. What is this name, peekaboo?
I'm gonna beat your ass in my rags while you're wearing your Gucci. And she did.
People ask me, what are you thinking when you're going that fast? And I said, I'm thinking about how I can go faster.
I was sassy. I was competitive.
It felt damn good to kick some European butt, I'll tell you what.
I was irreverent and driven.
And it is Olympic gold for peekaboo streak.
In my experience, every single professional athlete is running to escape something.
Dad carried a lot of anger.
He was the person who believed in me the most, but he was also the biggest distraction. All these corporations are going, you're this great all-American family. The pressure on us to keep our big secret. You just keep fighting and grinding and struggling through. I just looked for positive energy in life. The top of a mountain was an escape.
Back where we belong.
She just had a big heart and paved the way for a whole new generation of skiers.
It's a beautiful thing to be raw and real and human and going through it.
Mom, I won.
But there's more to it than that time at the finish.
Kristen Cooper, Lifetime Achievement for Broadcast Journalism. Raised in Ketchum, Idaho, and growing up racing for the Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation, Kristen made the U.S. ski team at 18 in 1977, rising on her talent, training, and hard work. From this experience, she has remained committed to expanding access and affordability for young racers, believing that a year or two in a junior program can be life-changing. She became the best female racer, Super Coupe, on a team that featured Debbie Armstrong, Cindy Nelson, and Tamarin McKinney. Kristen won 6 national championships, took an unprecedented 3 medals in the 1982 World Championships, and then an Olympic silver in Sarajevo in '84, capping that year leading her women's team to America's only Nations Cup victory. Retiring from racing, she began writing numerous articles for multiple magazines, while she also began working as an expert ski analyst for TV coverage. When war broke out in Bosnia in '92, the city which had hosted her was under siege, and she flew in with Greg Lewis, co-founding HOPE, Humanitarian Olympians for Peace, to help children displaced by the conflict. That same year, she was hired by CBS, beginning her 30-year run as alpine skiing's first female expert analyst. She would call 3 Winter Olympic Games for CBS: Albertville, Lillehammer, and Nagano. When the Winter Olympic coverage moved to NBC, Cooper moved with it, calling 3 more Winter Games in Salt Lake City, Vancouver, and Sochi.
So far in this Olympics, no different. The 2-time gold medal.
Cooper also worked 5 FIS championships for NBC, and the network touted that they had the best alpine broadcast team ever. Kristen humbly declares that for 20 years she rarely called a network race without Tim Ryan as her partner. And he told her, "Trust yourself, trust your eye, be yourself. Well, a more concise version of yourself, please." Kristen's meticulous preparation is reflected in her racer notes. It was always about the racers. As she puts it, everyone's personality informs their skiing. That's what's so cool about decoding ski racing. Skiing is our personalities, our experience on display, in real time. As she brought the curtain down on her 30 years of ski racing broadcast analysis, she reflected that skiing mirrors life. It's about equilibrium, maintaining balance, and tends to be a series of linked recoveries, concluding, "I'm not leaving the sport, I'm just shifting my weight." Kristen Cooper.